Hey everybody, it's Josh with Talk About Trek. We're back again today, and no, we're not going to talk about Before Dishonor yet. But look, we're so close. We are so close, my friends. This book is awesome, absolutely. Uh, Maybe my favorite of the book Trek so far, but we're not here today to talk about that book. We are here today to talk about uh, some very exciting flea market finds. We haven't had a very exciting flea market season, honestly, for the past couple of seasons, and mostly in part because I typically I bought everything. I mean, there's just like the same people that come every month, and I bought all the Star Trek stuff, got it all. It's all here already. I mean, most of the stuff that I have was acquired at flea markets, and sometimes in great big deals, garbage bags full of Star Trek stuff for cheap, So um, that's where a lot of that came from. But we went to a flea market today in a neighboring town, and there was a man there who was new, hadn't seen him before, and he had a table full of Star Trek stuff. And I got to tell you, we got some goodies here. So um, we're going to save the best for last here. And actually, I tell you what, let's start off on another table. Another table I found had these bad boys. Look at this. Captain's Logs, The Complete Trek Voyages by Edward Gross and Mark A. Altman. Very cool, very thick book that goes through, I mean, just like everything. It's got a ton of episodes, behind the scenes stuff, um, stuff from magazines, and it's even got here in the very end, which I thought was pretty interesting, the lost episode of The Next Generation, Ferengi Gold, written by Gene Roddenberry. And it kind of details this episode that apparently Gene had written for the second season that didn't make it to cut. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And it really was close to. There was another episode, and I think it was maybe an Enterprise episode, where there are two Ferengi on a planet who are kind of acting as like the gods, I'm gonna have to look that up and see. But I thought that was interesting, and just again, I love to get these big giant reference books, And this one at only $5 was a steal. And look, it's got this great interior section here with all these color photos. Check this out. Oh, look at Patrick Stewart. So cool, right? So anyway, we got that for $5. And then at that same table, we got this thick boy. Look at this. Ooh. Also only $5. So this is the Deep Space Nine Companion by Terry J. Erdman. And this has got a lot of stuff. I haven't looked fully into it yet, but up to the siege of, does this go all the way through the series? Yeah, I think so. So anyway, the complete series here. Last Day on the Set. Oh, that would be an interesting read. Look at that. Maybe we'll look through that sometime. But it actually details what they do at each kind of moment. It's the final day of shooting on Deep Space Nine. So anyway, we got those two books, and I was like, well, you know what? If I find nothing else, that's a pretty good deal. I got two big, thick reference books, and I got them for cheap, right? So, but no. Then we hit the mother lode. We found the table with all the goodies. Where do we begin? All right. First off, let's start with the toy, all right? He had many toys, and most of the toys were of this line, the Warp Factor Series 5. That's got a lot of the, well, maybe not particularly 5, but it was a lot of the, I'm looking at them now, the Deep Space Nine in the TOS uniforms, right? There was that whole kind of line of those. Captain Beverly Picard, the Swarm Alien. So a lot of those things, and I had them all. I wasn't sure if I had this particular Mr. Spock from, what was this from? Okay, yeah, The City on the Edge of Forever, right? Really cool one. Comes with vacuum tubes, coffee mug, primitive computer, and of course a Starfleet action base, right? But I do have him. He's up there. But yeah, you can't see them. I've got 3 carded Spocks, and they're hanging out back there behind the rest of them. I got to do something different with them. But what that means is that we can open up. Right. Smell that fresh toy smell. Boom. So now what we didn't have before was this version of Mr. Spock standing freely upon the shelf. So now we do. And we're certainly glad for it. Now typically I take all the accessories, sorry, crinkling, and I put them here. You can't see it. There's a thing here with lots of drawers filled with multiple Star Trek accessories. Not quite organized, but you know, what are you going to do? But I think I'm going to put these up on the shelf because they're kind of interesting. Interesting accessories for a toy there. And a fine little coffee mug as well. Where'd my action base go? Lost in the shuffle, huh? Alright, anyway, it'll turn up. Anyway, that is our Mr. Spock right there. Fully out of focus, but that's fine. Now, let's get into the real nitty gritty here. This bad boy right here. No, I'm kidding. This was cool, and for $2, I definitely had to get it. Even though I've got the thing, it's actually right there. There's 1, 2, 3 of these little photo clickers, and you hold them up to your eye, and click away, and you get to see how many scenes? 24 shots of the Enterprise crew in here. So, and, you know, it kind of gives you an idea. You like those kind of pictures, right? But anyway, $2, still in its package, still with its, let's see if we can get that up there, Hills price tag on it. So, you guys remember Hills? Did you shop at Hills at all? So anyway, we got that. Listen, we're getting down to the really fun stuff here. We found these, which are just little postcards. And I was happy to, pay $1 for this little postcard here. You can see, nice little postcard of the crew of the USS Enterprise. Definitely had to get this postcard as well. Maybe someday I'll send it to someone with a snarky message written on the back in the style of the Doctor. No, I would never do that. Now we're getting down to the really the whole reason I'm here today making this video. Now, as you know, this is mainly a channel about books. So one of the things I always look for when we go to these things is, of course, bookmarks, right? And they made this series of bookmarks with these tassels. Here, of course, we have Counselor Troy as well. See that? And I always look for them because, I think it's cool to find them after so many years, still with, like, the nice tassels intact, right? I've got a Kira and I think a Dax one hanging up currently, and I don't typically use them for the reading, but always look for them, and it's kind of like, just one of those things I like to always get. So I was willing and happy to pay $5 a piece for each bookmark, which you guys are probably like, well, that's a lot for a bookmark, right? But for me, I was happy with that. Now, let's continue on. We're going to come back to this later. And then included was this as well. This was on the table, a TNG Writer's Technical Manual, stapled together here, of course. Sold at some con some time ago. I wonder at what con perhaps it was sold at. What's this? What's this, you say? Hold on, before we get to that mysterious paper, we'll just kind of show you here. This is basically just going through, I think it's the first 3 seasons of TNG, giving like a little summary for each episode. So, I hope that this is something that it is actually from Paramount that found its way to a con that time ago, and then found its way into my hands. So, we're just going to say that it is. And at some point, maybe this was in the hands of some writer there on the lot. Very cool. And then, with that, was this. Very cool. Little, oh man, the back is even cooler than the front. This is for the Steubenville Sci-Fi Celebration. And this was held, let's see, boy. I'm looking for a date here. Let me see if there's anything on the back. It was held the 18th and 19th of October. But in what year? Anyway, that is not really the big deal. Anyway, this was included with the book, which I thought was kind of cool. And then I asked the guy about it, and he said, the only thing I can tell you about this stuff is that it was in my mother-in-law's storage unit, and I think it's been in there for 15 years. And he did say that this piece was autographed, and he pointed that out. This is autographed by Richard Biggs, who appeared at that convention, alongside Michael Dorn and Marina Sirtis, right? So I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm ready to check out, mister. And then he said, and did you also know that these were autographed? And I turned it over, and I said, no, I did not, sir. I was willing to buy it without knowing that. But check this out. Look. Boom. They are indeed autographed. That is Michael Dorn's signature. And here is Marina Sirtis' signature. How cool is that? So, not only do I have two cool bookmarks, they come with a story. A story about the time when this woman, Patricia, she went to Steubenville, Kansas, I believe. Yeah. And must have been a big TNG fan, because she got and met autographs from Worf and Counselor Troy. And now they've come to me. They've fallen into my hands. So I love that they came with like a little story as well, right? And you got to kind of like figure this out. The guy was like, I couldn't tell you if they're real or not. But this undoubtedly proves, I mean, to me at least, that this gives you the story. This is the reality of it. She went to this convention. She bought these postcards at that convention. She bought possibly this Spock. She bought and had these signed. And she bought this, right? And then she had the lovely Mr. Richard Biggs sign her program there as well. So, I mean, what a cool story, right? So, here you have this fan, and she had all this cool stuff. And now, instead of it just being lost in a box to time, it comes to me, who can fully and truly appreciate it for what it is, and like the whole kind of meaning and story behind it. So, what a find. I mean, what a day, right? This is why I still go out to these things, because you will come across one day when somebody just has this stuff put out, and it was just happened to be the luck of the draw, right? And there was a lot of other stuff there, but yeah, I couldn't just get everything. But these things, they have a story, and they got heart, really, There's some heart behind this, and I love it. And it's cool too, because I can look right up at, I have an autographed picture. Let's see if I can show you guys the wall here. Hey, there it is. Right there. There's Saru. Yeah, Worf. He's way up there in the corner, though. You can't really see him. Anyway, there's all that's the autograph wall there. Eh? That was like the first one I got right there. But anyway, you can see. Oh, don't get dizzy. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. We're shaking. Okay. A little bit lower than before. It's a match. It's a match. Anyway, what a fun story. What a fun flea market find. And, happy to be here to tell you about it. But we got to go now, because you know what we're going to do? We're going to read this book so that hopefully we can come back tomorrow and have a nice long talk about Before Dishonor, which has been a great read. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to my story and looking at my bookmarks. As always, my friends, live long and prosper. See you guys in the next one. Have a good night.